Hello, I am Lady Wu of the Abby Award-winning Vital Show. Woo, 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 woo. You can find me on social media at Watch Woo Work. I have a couple of my friends here with me. I want you guys to see who they are.
Hi, it's
Hey
the marvelous
guys.
Alicia.
What's up, y'all? It's Ant. How y'all doing today?
Hey. Who else we got?
This week,
Hey Willie.
what's going on?
And Sir said over there in the corner. So today is a holiday. Did you guys know that today was a holiday? Did you get off today? Were you off work today?
No.
So you may not have been off for this particular holiday, but it's definitely a day to take seriously. It's National Voter Registration Day, and we are proponents for voting and exercising your right to vote and be active in the community. So this is really quick. Just wanted to come and ask you guys a question and get others empowered to vote and get them registered and knowing the importance of filling this form out. This day started in 2012, just encouraging everybody to exercise the right. So we'll start up top with Marlicia. Marlicia, why do you vote and why is it important?
The reason I vote is for a lot of reasons. I mean, initially when I started voting, I didn't really know. I just thought it was the right thing to do, so I did it. But now that I'm more educated, I mean, I vote to honor my ancestors' legacy. I vote because if I don't, I'm giving up my voice. I vote because when we vote, we hold those who make our decisions accountable. And I pay too much money in taxes not to know where it goes. um, if we're going to affect change, then we have to vote. And lastly, because my community depends on me.
Awesome. Thank you. And why do you vote?
Honestly, I vote because I like Marlicia said that when I first started voting, I think the first time I even heard anything about voting was like Bill Clinton and whoever. I was in second grade. I want to say it was Bill Clinton and I don't know who the Republican was at that time. But I remember I came into class and I was like, "Oh, I'm voting for the Republican. I'm Republican." And everybody was like, "What?" And like I didn't know anything. My mom had not really talked about voting. So I didn't really know what voting meant, like what that meant. I just wanted to be different. Everybody else was picking Bill. I was like, well, I'm riding with him. You know, that's who I'm picking. And that's how that
You
went.
didn't know what was going on.
I got older. I voted straight Democrat or what my party because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. But as I got older, I started to vote with people whose ideals matched my lifestyle and how I wanted to live, and whose values, whose laws, like regulations and bills that are being passed. I started voting for things that made sense to my life and kind of contributed to the way I wanted to live. So it changed over the years. So I vote because it's my right to do so, because I like being able to see results. Like I like seeing that, watching the polls and watching the votes come in. That's all exciting to me. So seeing that the person that I voted for and the things that and the laws or the bills that I voted for get passed is rewarding to me, and it helps
Yeah.
that my vote matters. So even though it's not just my vote, it's just still seeing that okay, cool, I voted for or dang, I didn't get it. We didn't get enough votes for that, but that's the one that I wanted. And then trying to make sure you readjust your life because that affects taxes, that affects lots of money that you spend is affected by voting. So
Right.
a lot of people kind of wrap their mind around the fact that how much money you spend is going to affect how these results come in. But from you voting, I think voting could possibly be a little bit
Hmm. Why you vote? Thank you for that. So I'm glad you kind of learned. Like you started off really young, second grade, trying to be different, but then realizing like it's way more important than just being different.
higher. Exactly.
Willie D. So you rep Talladega. And
Absolutely.
You.
so what like I know that our schools play a big part in why we, it shapes our personality, shapes our friendship, shapes our experiences. Did college have anything to do with your voting or with your idea about voting?
It sure did. So my freshman year at Talladega in 90, George W. Bush, HW, was the president.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so Talladega's SGA was always pushing something about voting. And, it was almost like every day that you just really didn't go a day a day didn't go by without somebody talking about, hey, you need to make sure you get out and vote. So voting has always been important to me. And, you know, it's kind of irritating when I talk to people and they say, you know what, I'm not going to vote. It's not going to matter. It does matter. So, you know, I try to stress the point that, you know, you don't want to have that regret later on and say, you know what, in the back of my mind, my one vote could have got that person in there. So voting is absolutely important to me. It's been in my heart, been instilled in me since college. So shout out to Talladega for making me vote and making me pushing the bar on that. So
yeah,
it's still in me. So I'm pushing everybody else.
Thank you. So Sir Said, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the conversation, Ready Eddie. But Sir Said, you are currently at a Woke Vote event. You're at an event that speaks to voter registration. Share with us what's going on where you are.
Well, thank you, Woo. What's going on? I'm at the Cahaba Brewing Company. We're having a voter registration event, as well as getting people to commit to vote if they're registered to vote. You have a lot of people that are registered to vote, but they're classified as inactive because they haven't voted in so long. A lot of people vote for one election or one cause or one person, and then when that person or that cause or whatever isn't on the ballot anymore, they fall off and become inactive voters. I vote because it is something that has been instilled in me as a child. I remember what Ant was talking about being in elementary school, and I think it was George H.W. Bush versus Clinton versus Ross Perot, and it was a big thing at that time. So voting has always been a big thing to me. It was like one of those things that the grown-ups did that I was always hoping to do. And then once I got in high school, our government and history teachers, they really instilled voting, and we would have whole class conversations about not necessarily voting, but things relative to the government. So I vote because it's easy. It doesn't cost me anything, but it costs me a lot not to vote. The cost of not voting is a heavy price to pay. And it's something that you don't necessarily find out, right then. It's something that you find out 4 years, 8 years, 10, 12 years down the line, depending on the election. That's when you find out how much it's going to cost you. So when different taxes and policies come into place and you're like, wait, when did they do that? Well, when you vote, the last election kind of set all this stuff into action and into place. So we vote. Voting is important to the work that I do. And more importantly, it's as an elected official, I need people to vote for me. So I cannot, encourage people to vote for me or do the work that I'm doing about voting and not be voting myself. That's hypocritical.
Wow. So elected official, influence, even serving in a capacity to be at an event. They even got the dogs out to vote. So we know it's important. Like everybody's out. Ready, Eddie, you join in the conversation. Voting, why is it important to you? Where did you get your influence from to know that it was important that you should exercise your right to vote?
I really didn't come from like a family that really encouraged a lot of voting. I really kind of, as I grew up, grew my own desire to understand what's going on. And I kind of pushed my family to start voting, But for me, it's about my family growing up. It wasn't like a sharing information kind of family. It's like whatever happened is going to happen. But I need to know how things work and what makes things tick kind of situation. And so just myself coming up and seeing that the Black community is getting the short end of a lot of sticks in a lot of these systems and that we can do something about it. And voting for me just became the representation of what I can do for my community. Even if it's not a direct impact right now today, even if it takes a while to start crafting a system that, we can see the changes coming in, that is a representation. And it's one thing that people always say that I hated. They always was like, well, you can't say nothing if you're not voting. A part of me is like, I'm going to vote so I can talk my mess, if nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Because ain't nobody going to tell me to shut up because, you didn't vote. You didn't participate in the system. Like, no. And so it's twofold. A part of it is I got to be a part of the solution. because I come to understand what makes things tick, and then ain't nobody finna tell me to shut up.
Right.
I like that. I like all those answers. I vote for a few reasons. I vote because I know that people that were before me fought for the right. I'm in Alabama. I'm from Alabama. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. So a lot of times, we'll ride around our streets and think that everything's okay. Today's a beautiful day. Nothing's going to happen today. But I can remember learning and hearing about the things that happen on the very streets that I go and party on now, the very streets and places that I can walk in now where people greet me and love me. Those were places that my foreparents couldn't go. I think about Selma. I think about the way that those before me and those that we even had a chance to meet were humiliated and attacked and had to pass literacy tests that college graduates had trouble passing, had to count marbles in a jar. It's almost impossible. I think about that humiliation and the struggle that my people went through. I think about people that went and served in wars and fought for this country that came back wanting the right to vote, but were not allowed to vote and even murdered because they tried to vote. One Black person in Mississippi voted and he was killed because the person that was running said, hey, if anybody votes, I'm going to kill them. And that's what they did. So I don't want to not honor those who thought enough of me, thought enough of our people to put their lives on the line for the mere right to be able to participate in a democratic process. If everything that you do as a government is going to affect me, I deserve to have a right to say something about it. I don't care. I don't care what it is. I don't. If I'm voting for what color y'all want to paint the inside of the bathroom at the boys' gym, I'm voting for it. So I feel that it's been so much in front of me, so much that has been afforded me that I owe it to my people, if nothing else, to get out and vote every opportunity that I get. That's why I do it. So before we go, what message does anybody want to give to somebody that's watching that may be, way far off when it comes to why voting is important? What do you want to say to them?
Well, I would say that that the price that this country owes Black people a huge amount of debt for all the ways we've been treated, the ways that we've been taken advantage of. And the reason why I continue to do the work that I do and fight for my community and fight for people that look like me is because this country owes us a huge debt. I'm gonna make sure they pay us everything that is owed. So being a voter is a way to collect on that debt. So join us in the cause of collecting on that debt and making sure we get all our money.
Who else? What do you want to say to them?
Go ahead, Aunt.
Go ahead,
Aunt. For me, like anybody that has done anything and felt like they were wronged, or if you went to jail and you feel like you went to jail wrongly, if you paid some taxes on it and you feel like it was too high, if you any of those things, a lot of things you feel like, if you feel like you were wronged in it, could possibly be changed by voting. If you think about it, if you break down different factors of different areas in your life, most things can be changed by the person that's in charge to make those decisions. And typically those decisions can be changed by voting. So that's really what I would say. Just think about different things in your life that you are not happy with or that you feel like should be different. And there's a good chance some kind of way you can tie that back to voting, in my opinion. That's what I would say. So go vote.
Marlicia.
I would say that look at your life in 2020. Look at all that has happened from COVID-19, which is a pandemic we are still dealing with, to the race relations and the systemic racism that we are currently experiencing even now after the civil rights movement. Look at the CARES Act and look at all of the things that go into them putting out a stimulus package. Don't just get that $1,200 and think, that's what you have to accept. Now, our government has to face, what if we have another pandemic in the future? How are we going to handle that? How are we going to fund these small businesses? How are we going to make sure people stay employed? How are we going to integrate technology into keeping up with what's going on and keeping the people informed. These are all vital things that occur, and you can control it by voting. You can tell them what you need and what you want by voting. So that is what you need to do. You need to vote. We need your vote. It's not a want. You need to do it.
For sure. Anybody else?
So I'll piggyback on what Marlicia said. With me, it's no need in complaining if you're not getting out there trying to be a part of the solution. So the voting part, I mean, it's a must, especially for Blacks. I mean, everything that we're going through this year with all the not riots, but, you know, we're rioting for a reason, because we're trying to fight for our rights and trying to make things right in this country. So we have to get out and vote, because some of those people that are in charge, they got to go. And the only way you're going to make that change, you have to get out there and vote.
All right.
So, ain't it peculiar that there is so much energy going into trying to stop Black people from voting? If our vote as it stands wasn't powerful, then they wouldn't be trying to suppress it through legislation.
Amen.
You know, regardless of how we feel about whether it's the person we want in there or they're going to do what we need to do, if our vote didn't matter, they wouldn't have to try to stop it. Our vote matters because they putting way too much energy into try to make sure it don't happen. And I want to see what that power does. And I want to be able to vote one day where I know that everybody else is going to be using that power with me. And we just got to start that today.
Wow.
Agree.
Yeah, like awesome. So today, National Voter Registration Day 2020. You still got time. These forms said it's out. If you're in Birmingham, Alabama, he's out right now. I'm sure people are out all over the United States with a voter registration form. Go and handle your business. Figure out how to get registered. If you want to vote early, figure out how to vote early. If you want to absentee vote, figure out how to do that and make it happen ASAP. Don't wait till it's too late. Say it. What you got?
The last day to register to vote in the state of Alabama is October 19th, but you can register online. Alabama has come up in the 21st century in that regard. You can go online to the Secretary of State's website and register to vote online.
Awesome. So I think we've made it very clear why voting is important to us, why voting is important to society, why voting is important to African Americans, why voting is important to Black men, why it's important to Black women, why voting is important for our children, why voting is important for our neighborhoods, why voting is important for education, why voting is important for taxes, why voting is important for putting other people in place for Supreme Court justice, why voting is important for roads and streets and sanitation and healthcare and coronavirus and HBCUs. It's important. I represent Alabama State University. I represent Miles College. And then going out further, I also represent the University of Montevallo here in Alabama. Schools that need the support of government. Voting does that. So I will hope that all of our students who are watching and listening will be encouraged and empowered and motivated to get out and register. If you're already registered, utilize your right. Get out and vote. Vital votes. Can y'all join me with that? Vital votes. Vital votes. So we do it. You got to do it. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Be encouraged, be motivated, and be vital. Have an awesome night.